Hey folks, welcome back to another video. I recently posted a track of mine on my YouTube Shorts playlist and people asked me to make a video about it, what I did. So this is the track here. And so on and so forth. So it's basically, it sounds like it's pretty complex, but it's actually not. It's musical wise, it's just 3 notes and a simple drum beat, and the rest are just edits and glitches and switching up sounds. So you put all the complexity into the sound design, and the bass or the musical content of the song itself is actually pretty simple. So to explain this here from the top, I have this all track here, what I'm doing all the time, where all the mastering plugins are on there. It's actually a glitch plugin also on the master, just to have this possibility to bring in here some glitch effects. And I sometimes blend them in here with the, as you can see, with the automation at this point here. And just to, you know, maybe make a transition, or maybe just it sounds cool. And then dB meter here, and to bring it up to -6 LUFS, then drive it into DSEQ to get rid of the harshness here. And then of course at the end, a newfangled audio multiband limiter with input gain of 0, just to, you know, get all the catch all the peaks and to balance out the spectrum a bit with the filtering section here. That's it basically for the mastering chain so far. Then I have down there, I have the drum and bass bus, where the bass and the drums are in there, hence the name. And on there I'm just using a crossover here VST, which splits up everything into multiple bands, and on each band there's a hard clipper on there, and yeah, bringing up basically the spectrum balance and clipping certain bands here if needed. So this is the drum bass bus, and it sounds like this. So it's just the drums and the bass. The drums itself is based on the E-kick. As you can see, there's no sample used here. I'm using the transient clicker preset I made also a video about this, and yeah, that's the kick. So pretty basic. A snare to that, it's the E snare by Bitwig, also using here the transient clicker and the hard clip. XO is actually playing nothing. I think I used this to create some patterns here. Then the E-head, also pretty basic. So nothing really special there. On the drums bus I'm using Ultra Fat, which is also a preset of mine. And Ultra Fat is not really a compressor, it's actually a compressor gone wrong. I tried to split the frequency bands into 3 parts, so it's an FX3 basically. And on each band there is an auto gain, which brings up the level of each band to 0 dB. So it pushes up everything until it peaks at 0 dB. And how fast you do this, you can define by attack and decay. And it sounds like a compressor, or it works like a compressor, but it's actually I tried to make a frequency balancer, but it kind of sounds like a compressor when you use it here with short decay settings. So that's on the drums basically. I'll actually listen to that without ultra fat. So it brings out all the frequencies to the same level. Then I'm using a DB Blue glitch, of course, again. And I'm using also automation to bring this in at certain points. So it's not on all the time, only here at the end, basically. And then go into DSEQ3. Also, you get rid of the harshness of the hi-hats peaking at certain points. It's just here at minus 1.5 dB with a 3 dB per octave slope. And just to get rid of the harshness, basically. It's actually not doing that much, as you can see here. And then a hot clip at the end to drive the loudness a bit. So that's the drums. I'm actually not doing anything really here. It's sometimes I change the pattern, I think, or maybe I remove here certain things. But the complexity comes in from the DB Blue glitch here at certain parts. I actually moved here deleted some of the parts, so it actually doesn't make sense here what I did. But yeah, I used the DB Blue glitch basically to create some parts here. I think these melody bits here are made with the glitch plugin and just bounced out and put into that to have this nice little transition. And because I bounced it, it's always the same at the same position. So it's easy and lazy work to create drum fills, basically. Then we have here the bass track. So the bass pattern itself, it's always the same notes, as you can see here. It's basically only these 3 notes over and over. And also the pattern itself is created by using the note repeats here in Bitwig, which basically chunks up the long note into multiple short notes. And I'm also automating this here. Note repeats. It's here, as you can see. I'm changing basically here with the automation the note repeat speed setting, and then driving this into a quantizer on a 16-note grid. So I'm ending up always with a 16-note pattern or 16-note grid pattern, but it changes rhythmically because I'm changing the speed setting. So it sounds much more complexer than it actually is. It's basically a custom arpeggiator, if you want to call it that way. And then I'm driving this, of course, here into a phase 4. And this was my first initial bass preset here I started with. And I took a bit of time here to dial in all these automations just in the beginning. So this was basically my initial loop where I started, right? Bringing down here the notes or getting these notes done and then adding automation to that until it sounds nice. And then when I'm happy with this, I'm starting to make alterations of this. So basically I started to make, I think, this phase 4 here, which is just using this track and cloning it and then making some modifications to it, right? Maybe changing here some of the, there's actually no automation on here. Maybe changing some of the automations, but that's basically what I do. Pretty stupidly cloning the initial track, adding different modifications to it, and then using it at different positions. As you can see, it's always the same patch I'm starting with here, but cloning it and changing the settings. That's basically all I'm doing here. So in the second part, it sounds a bit different. As you can see, it's almost the same sound as this one, but here we have a reverb on the bass, and it's a bit more open sound-wise, and I'm changing some of the modulations in there just to get a different sound, a different feel, but not too much different than the first initial one, just to get this or have this familiarity between the sounds. But you can see it's the same note here basically, or the same notes everywhere. Only at the first beat here, the first note is on a different phase 4 patch. It's just a basic bass with a sign on it. And I even cloned, I think, the complete effect chains here, and made also some decisions here I changed just to make a different sound and until it feels right. And in the end, it looks much more complexer than it actually is, because it's only this clip with these notes and this patch, and then just cloning it and making a different version of it. And then you move on, and at the end you end up with 14 tracks, and it looks much more complex than it actually is. Okay, that's the bass. And on here there's also a glitch, DSEQ3, of course, ultra fat also on the bass, just to get this OTT feel that people use in these dubstep sounds and glitch hop sounds, right? Everything is pushed to the max, and it's this genre. I usually wouldn't do that to my ambient tracks or to my normal kind of chill out tracks or drum bass tracks, but glitch hop, and it's the way it sounds, and it's the way you have to do it. Then of course you have a tool device also using the kick for side chaining, completely ducking the bass out of the way to get the maximum, or to get this kind of chunked up feel between the sounds. You have one sound after the other. In glitch hop, it's most of the times that you have only one sound at a time. There are no overlapping sounds. It's not like that you have a bass and then on top of you have a kick and then you have the snare and the hi-hat. It's more like you have only the kick and then you have only the bass. Which is pretty ridiculous, but that's how it is. So I'm completely ducking here the bass with the kick drum. And then everything goes into drum bass bus where the crossover is on to balance out here, of course, again, the spectrum, making it loud as fuck. And then at the end, you have a music bus. It's basically also how I structure my drum bass tunes and my ambient tunes. So in here, I have a lot of melody bits I created from the drums and from the bass. For instance, with the pitch map, this pitch map plugin, you probably all know. This one here, and then feeding in some noise and some bass sounds, creating nice little harmonic or melody harmonics, and then bouncing this out to wave stems or the wave tracks here. Right, I think that's just the bass line here through this pitch map plugin. To have some kind of bits I can throw in at certain points. That's my voice, I think. And also special here is the scratch preset I made for I'm using the polygrid for that, and I'm using basically just a filter and noise. So noise goes into the filter, and then some not sure what I did here. That's going into the tag. Oh yeah, I'm changing some of the settings inside this patch. And to make the rhythm, I'm using also a note repeater, going into quantizer, And then the quantizer is modulated here. So I'm switching, I think, between 16 note grid and 8 note grid or something like this, just to have this kind of scratching feeling when the DJ actually switches between 16 and 8 notes. It sounds not really like scratching, but kind of works in this context. And this started basically with this patch, so I thought maybe I should use some noise and feed this into an bandpass filter, then crank up here the resonance to get this, you know, this high-pitched tone. And then I'm just changing the frequency of the XP rhythmically. And yeah, I'm using the quantizer and the note repeater then to trigger this. And it's, yeah, kind of works. So that's the special scratch sound. Yeah, I think I shared this actually on my Patreon because a lot of people ask for that. But it's not really, yeah, not really flashed out or anything fancy. It's just made while I'm doing this. I think I took 10 minutes to make this. It's not really, yeah, it's not really a flashed out preset. Okay, so that's that. And then I have here, what's that? That's a polygrid again. I thought I tried to make some bubbles here, but not really succeeded. Yeah, it's also not really finished, so I stopped at this point with sound designing, and that's what this glitch shop is all about. It's not about notes and fancy chord progressions. It's not about arrangements. It's all about sound design, and you switch up your initial pattern in all kinds of different ways. You bring in all the plugins you have, bounce out stems from all your different glitch plugins you bought years ago. And then you cut up everything and put it at some random places to get a nice, cool sounding track at the end. There's also no intro at the moment here. It's just something I made here. It's not really finished, like I said. I completely focused only on the drop and the main part, and it's also only made for me to practice this kind of stuff, right? I'm doing ambient all the time, I'm doing chill out all the time, and drum and bass, and I'm not really finishing anything of that most of the times. It's just made to practice. Yeah, practice some stuff, try out new ideas I have to create sounds. And this kind of genre is not really what I do every day, but from time to time I have actually desire to make something like this, and then I try it out, and I get something cool out of it, and I learn every time I do something I'm not familiar with. I'm learning something. And sometimes I get a cool little snippet or draft I can maybe finish someday. I have actually a lot of these glitch shop tunes on my hard drive, but I'm not really happy with all of the outcomes or the results. So I'm seeing this only as a practice thing. And also a lot of producers on the market right now that do this way better than me, right? Because they do this all the time, every day, and I'm not having the practice. But that's what that's my current state of skill in these terms of genre, or in this kind of genre. Maybe I'm also sharing this project on my Patreon. I'm not really sure if people are actually interested in this, because it's all over the place, right? I'm just going in, making drums, making bass, making iterations, and it's not really made to learn something from it, and it's also probably way too complicated to change something. I probably never changed this here anyway, right? I'm just created this, and then I created duplications of that and changed the duplications here on all of these tracks, right? It's I don't think anyone would want to go in there and want to change this to their likings. If I don't like actually what I did here and I end up with a track I don't like, I just delete this project or make something new and take all the knowledge I gained from this track and put it in the new track. And then at some point I'm happy with the results and then I'm putting it out as a release. But for now it's just, you know, made for practice. Yeah, something else I have to talk about here? Not really, I think. I covered everything. It's just sound design, basically, in the end. That's all it is. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. And hope you learned something. Leave a like if you liked the video. And subscribe to Patreon to download some of this stuff here. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. And bye.